When Grandma tries to set a new password, system, please enter a new password. Grandma, cabbage. System, must be at least 8 characters. Grandma, boiled cabbage. System, needs a number. Grandma, 1 boiled cabbage. System, no spaces allowed. Grandma, 50 boiled cabbages. System, needs a capital letter. Grandma, 50 boiled cabbages. System, no capital letters next to each other. Grandma, 50 boiled cabbages for breakfast. System, no full words. Grandma, this is getting out of hand 123. System, password already in use. Grandma, who took my password? Technology, 1. Grandma, 0. 1. One day, the sheriff sees Billy Bob walking around town with nothing on except his gun belt and his boots. The sheriff says, "Billy Bob, what the hell are you doing walking around town dressed like that?" Billy Bob replies, "Well, Sheriff, it's a long story." The sheriff says he isn't in a hurry and that Billy Bob should tell the story. Billy Bob continues, "Well, Sheriff, me and Mary Lou were down on the farm and we started cuddling. Mary Lou said we should go in the barn and we did. Or inside the barn, we started kissing and cuddling and things got pretty hot and heavy. Well, Mary Lou said that we should go up on the hill, so we did. Up on the hill, we started kissing and cuddling, and then Mary Lou took off all her clothes and said that I should do the same. Well, I took off all my clothes, except my gun belt and my boots. Then Mary Lou lay on the ground and opened her legs and said, 'Okay, Billy Bob, go to town.' 2. I was driving down the highway, music blasting, windows down, just minding my own business. Then I saw the flashing lights in my mirror. Pulled over, rolled the window down. The officer walked up and said, 'Papers, please.' I looked him straight in the eye and said, 'Scissors. I win.' Then I calmly drove off, like it was just another round of rock, paper, scissors. That was 47 minutes ago. He's still behind me. Sirens on full blast. I think he wants a rematch. 3. A couple was struggling in their marriage, so for Valentine's Day, they decided to do the right thing and see a marriage counselor. After several sessions of deep questions and careful listening, the counselor finally nodded and said, 'I think I see the problem.' He stood up, walked over to the wife, and gave her a warm, heartfelt hug. Then he turned to the husband and said, 'This is what your wife needs, at least once every day.' The husband thought about it for a moment, then shrugged and said, 'All right. What time do you want me to bring her back tomorrow?' 4. It was Friday night, and a police car was parked up with a good view of the pub car park. A guy came out of the pub and walked with a very unsteady, wobbling motion. The guy continued around the car park, trying his keys in several cars until one opened. He climbed into the car, switched the lights on and off, and then the windscreen wipers on and off. He then slumped over the steering wheel. 'Get the breathalyzer ready, Fred,' said one of the policemen. 'We will have him as soon as he leaves.' In the meantime, the rest of the cars were driven away. The guy they were watching suddenly jerked awake, got out of his car, kicked a couple of tires, got back into the car, and pulled off the car park. The cops pulled him within 10 yards. They breathalyzed him, and he was clean as a whistle. They smelled his breath, and there was no trace of alcohol. A policeman asked him, 'What gives?' He replied with pride, 'I'm the duty decoy driver.' 5. A flight from Paris to Montreal was running smoothly, until a stylish blonde in economy got up, walked confidently into first class, sat down, and made herself at home. A flight attendant came over and said politely, 'Excuse me, miss, but your ticket is for economy. I'm going to have to ask you to return to your assigned seat.' The blonde smiled and said, I'm blonde. I look amazing. I'm going to Montreal, and this seat is much nicer. I'm staying. Confused, the attendant called the co-pilot. He tried. Same result. I paid for a seat. I'm going to Montreal, and this one's more comfortable. They were stuck. Then the captain stood up, sighed, and said, She's blonde. No problem. My wife is blonde. I speak fluent blonde. He walked down the aisle, bent down, whispered something in her ear. And just like that, she jumped up and went back to her seat in economy without a word. The crew was stunned. What did you say? The captain grinned. I told her first class isn't going to Montreal. 6. Billy Bob wanted a job as a signalman on the railways. He was told to meet the inspector at the signal box. The inspector asked, What would you do if you realized that two trains were heading for each other on the same track? Billy Bob replied, I would switch the points for one of the trains. What if the lever broke? Asked the inspector. Then I'd dash down out of the signal box, said Billy Bob, and I'd use the manual lever over there. What if that had been struck by lightning? Then, Billy Bob continued, I'd run back into the signal box and phone the next signal box. What if the phone was busy? Well, in that case, persevered Billy Bob, I'd rush down out of the box and use the public emergency phone at the level crossing up there. What if that was vandalized? Oh, well then I'd run into town and go get my Uncle Lester. This puzzled the inspector, so he asked, Why would you do that? Billy Bob answered, Well, Uncle Lester ain't never seen a train wreck. 7. Two old friends, Harold and Gus, figured they didn't have many wild nights left in them, so they decided to go out with a bang. After a few too many whiskeys at the local saloon, they stumbled into a brothel just down the road, full of high hopes and low standards. The madam took one look at them, wrinkled, wobbly, and reeking of bourbon, and whispered to her assistant, Don't waste any of the girls on these two. Just stick a blow-up doll in each room. They'll never know the difference. The assistant did as he was told, and the two old-timers were sent upstairs to enjoy their evening. Later, as they staggered down the street in the moonlight, Harold looked uneasy. You know, Gus, he muttered, I think mine was dead. Dead? Gus asked, wide-eyed. What makes you say that? She didn't move. Didn't make a sound. I could have been making love to a plank of wood. Gus burst out laughing. Could be worse, he said. I think mine was possessed. Possessed? What in the world makes you think that? Well, Gus replied, I was getting into it, kissing her neck, nibbling a little. Then she let out a fart and shot right out the window. Took my dentures with her.